Welcome to the deep dive. After hearing Pastor Florin's sermon, Who Owns You,
Yeah.
at Agape this Sunday, I just couldn't stop thinking about it.
Oh, same here. That whole series on Genesis, stories of redemption, love, and the unexpected, has been something else. But this one, yeah.
And he kicked it off with such an unexpected turn, right? Talking about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither. Reminding us Patrick wasn't even Irish, but like a Roman teenager snatched by raiders and enslaved in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
That dramatic shift, freedom to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
It is perfectly set up where we're going today, looking at another really unexpected turn for a young guy in Genesis.
It really did. It's like a funnel straight into Joseph's story in Genesis 37. Joseph, Jacob's favorite son.
Right.
Already kind of set apart.
Right.
But then, bam, his own brothers plotting against him. Not some random enemy, but his family.
It's brutal.
It is. That stark, unexpected turn just makes you stop. So yeah, her mission today, let's really unpack the sermon, see how this ancient story helps us navigate real life, especially, for young people today.
Definitely.
It has a lot to say about who we are and, what really matters deep down.
Okay, so let's get into that story. Joseph, sent by his dad Jacob to check on the brothers. Seems pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
Just errand.
Yeah, standard stuff.
But the second they see him coming, they plot to kill him. Not just ignore him or yell at him, kill him.
It's shocking.
Thankfully, Reuben steps in,
Mm-hmm.
suggests the cistern instead. Kind of a weird save, but okay.
Buys him a minute, I guess.
Yeah, but only a minute. Then they haul him out and sell him 20 shekels of silver to these merchants heading off to Egypt.
Ishmaelites, Midianites.
Yeah.
I mean, just picture that whiplash. Favorite son probably wearing that fancy coat, future looking bright.
Yeah.
And then boom, property sold.
The shift in his perceived value is just staggering.
And that's exactly what Pastor Florin keyed in on, isn't it? Yes. That insight was so powerful, how Joseph's value was, quote, contingent on the person doing the evaluation. That's such a critical point.
It really is.
Think about it. To Jacob, his dad, the favorite son, super valuable.
Right here.
To his brothers, just competition to be squelched. A threat. Basically, worthless or worse.
Mm-hmm.
To the merchants, purely property, a commodity.
Yeah.
Worth exactly 20 shekels.
Wow.
But then, this is the core of it, right? To God, he was a chosen servant, set apart for a divine plan. Totally different valuation.
That contrast is huge.
It really shows how shaky your value is when it depends on other people or circumstances. Like,
Right.
An athlete gets injured, their stock drops, a musician's album flops.
Or just everyday stuff, like how many likes you get on a post.
Exactly. It's so fragile, so fleeting when it's defined externally.
So, okay, if Joseph's value could swing so wildly, what about us? How does that play out now? Especially for, younger people trying to figure out who they are.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the sermon went right there, asking us directly, what is your value?
Yeah.
And for young people, wow, that question feels like it's being answered for them all the time, by grades, by social media, by maybe what job they get.
Right. The world basically tells you your value is based on what you have to offer or what you can produce.
Or even, sadly, what the world can take from you. It means your worth is constantly shifting depending on how well you perform, what you own, your status.
It's exhausting.
Totally. But then the sermon flips it. It brings in God's view. The Most High God offers value that is intrinsic and lasting.
Intrinsic, meaning
It's built in. It's just there because, as the sermon said, you are created in his image. You are worth saving. Being made in God's image, that gives you inherent dignity, worth. It's not based on what you do. It's based on who you are.
that just changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about all the pressure young people feel to achieve, to be popular, to have the right stuff. Understanding God sees you differently, that he values you no matter what. That's real freedom, real stability.
Yeah.
It means even when you mess up, when you sin, because we all do, God's love is still there. Redemption is still possible. That value doesn't disappear if you have a bad day or make a mistake. It's solid.
It's foundational. It lets you redefine what success even looks like.
Okay, so knowing our value in God's eyes, that's huge. But then the sermon pushed us further, didn't it, with those next two questions?
Oh, yeah. Those were tough. Who do you value more and who do you value less?
Oof, yeah.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, like Pastor Florin said, but we kind of have to admit it, right? In certain situations, some people are more valuable to us, like family versus the plumber fixing a burst pipe.
Right. That example was helpful. It highlights the difference between what the sermon called transactional relationship.
Where value depends on what you get out of it.
Exactly. I love him because he makes me laugh or because she buys me things.
Yeah.
If that stops, the value, the feeling, it often fades. It's conditional.
Yeah, I get that.
But the contrast is selfless love, agape love. That's valuing someone intrinsically just because they are, with no expectation of getting something back.
And that's how God loves us.
That's the model, agape. It's completely different, unconditional.
And if we don't operate out of that kind of love,
Yeah.
if we're stuck in being self-focused,
Yeah.
the sermon pointed out a real danger.
Yeah. If you are the center, then anyone far from your center, they automatically have less value in your eyes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you dislike someone or even hate them, you start thinking of them as less, right? Less human, less worthy.
Deplorable even, as the sermon mentioned. And it can apply to how we view whole groups, the poor and homeless, or complex issues like the unborn. It's a mindset shift we have to be aware of.
Definitely.
What's tricky is even when you try not to be self-focused, it can still creep in. When you disagree strongly with someone, it's easy to devalue them.
So true.
Which really leads to a crucial question for us. If we really grasp our own intrinsic value from God, how does that change how we value others? How does it empower us to see their dignity, regardless of what they offer us or how different they are?
That's a deep one. And it sets up the final, really provocative question from the sermon.
The big one.
Who owns you?
Yeah, and the immediate reaction, especially maybe for us as Americans, is nobody. I own myself.
Totally. Fierce independence.
But Pastor Florin pushed back, saying essentially, someone or something owns you. You can't escape it.
Okay, so what are the options he laid out?
Well, first, you could be owned by the world, like chasing possessions, power, status, pleasure.
Stuff that doesn't last?
Exactly. And the sermon was clear. That path leads to destruction, death, and ultimately separation from the Most High God, because none of it satisfies.
Okay, option one. What else?
Option two, being owned by the powers of darkness. Basically, actively rejecting God, rebelling against him. Outcome, same thing, destruction, separation. Third option, believing I own myself. Being the king of your own hill, where everything and everyone, even God, has to bow to your will.
The ultimate self-focus.
Right. And again, the sermon said that also leads to destruction and separation. It's trying to be God, basically.
So those are the bleak options.
But then there's the other alternative,
Okay.
being owned by the Most High God. Pastor Florin brought up the Apostle Paul calling himself a slave of Christ.
Which sounds intense, maybe even negative.
It does, given our understanding of slavery, but the point isn't literal, horrific enslavement. It's about a profound, willing commitment. The sermon described it beautifully. Ownership and enslavement by God is actually redemption and freedom.
Redemption and freedom. How?
He used that analogy of like a husband buying back his wife or kids who had been sold into slavery.
Yeah.
It's an act of love, of restoration, bringing them back into freedom and belonging. It's liberation, not oppression.
Okay, I see. It's a different kind of ownership, a redemptive kind.
Exactly.
And that connects directly to what we're calling this deep dive, right? The carpenter's apprentice.
Yes. Perfect connection. Because if God owns you in that freeing, redemptive way, what does it mean practically? It means you commit to learning from him, to practicing his way of life, like an apprentice learning a craft from a master.
So it's not just believing something in your head.
Not at all. There's a practical practice component that is essential, just like the description says. It's about actively living out that selfless agape love, seeing others the way God sees them, letting his value for you change your everyday choices.
It's about actually doing the stuff Jesus taught, walking it out.
You got it. Living into the freedom that comes from belonging to God, learning his ways day by day. That's the apprenticeship.
Wow. Okay, so let's kind of bring this together.
Yeah.
If you really get your value from God, understand that he sees you as intrinsically worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose to be owned by him in that redemptive sense, choosing apprenticeship under Jesus,
Yeah.
that fundamentally changes everything.
It has to. How you see yourself, how you handle pressure, how you treat other people, how you make decisions, it shifts your entire foundation.
Especially for young people trying to navigate a world that's constantly telling them they aren't enough or their value is based on the wrong things. This offers a whole different way to live.
A way grounded in truth and freedom, not shifting sand. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this.
Yeah.
What's one practical step, just one thing this week, you can do to live as if you are truly owned by God in this good way? How can you let his view of your value and the value of others actually guide a choice you make?
That's a great challenge. Something real to chew on.
Yeah,
Hey, if this deep dive, this conversation was helpful for you, please share it with a friend. These talks can really spark something.
definitely.
And also, just a reminder, if you need prayer for anything, you can submit requests online at agapechurch.life. We have a team ready to pray specifically for you.
That's right. And check out the website and the YouTube channel too for more content and info about Agape.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
Yeah, good talk.
Looking forward to the next one.